Hey everyone, I'm Krista Watanabe,
And I'm Neoshia Roemer.
and you're listening to Wires from the Deep. Welcome to Wires from the Deep, a Silo Series podcast. Today is Sunday, August 9, 2026, and you're listening to episode 37, Joe's Sketchy Ship Rental. Today, Neoshia and I will be breaking down season 3, episode 6, called Drive.
This episode was released on August 7th, 2026. It was written by Cal Saleros and directed by Ulrich Riley.
All right, first order of business. We had mentioned the Silo 18 fob. We showed it on our episode with Hugh Howie and talked about how we have an extra one of these to give away. So listen until the end of the episode and you can find out how you can win it from us. So let's get to the episode breakdown because I don't recall any like promotional videos kind of thing. I don't think I saw any. So
Yeah, and I didn't see any, but also I rely on you for my promotional video. You're like, watch this YouTube video. I'm like, okay.
Okay, episode breakdown. It opens up right after the last episode at the Gap. Camille is coming down on a chair, and I remember like during the watch party and during the drop when people were in chat, people were like, "Camille looks so funny in this chair." she is
I mean,
very
she
humbling and
does.
childlike, right?
Yeah, and then also too, this whole episode, Camille does not look like she's enjoying her life at
Yeah,
all. And I mean, I started with that opinion with seeing her sitting on that chair.
yeah. She just looked kind of miserable. Yeah. But she's staring at her husband on the way down, like kind of looking like she's trying to stab him with her eyes. she, he meets her at the platform, and sure enough, he says, "I lost Juliet," and she's like, You lost Juliet." And he tries. He's like, "Well, she was helped by her friends in mechanical," and I mean, she immediately just sidelines him. So
Yeah, and I feel like she knows he's up to something, right?
yeah, yeah. And like I think I had said last episode that she was running down the stairs. Like we didn't get to see something, and she got news about something that he's doing.
Mhm.
And so they have this conversation that kind of supports that. He's like, you knew I was down here," and I just thought that that supported what I was saying. But at the same time, of course, she knew he was down there. He said he was gonna go down there and take care of Juliet,
Right,
right?
right.
So I don't know, that part didn't quite add up, but it's okay. But she not just sidelines him, but she's like, "Go home to Anthony and spend time with him."
Mhm.
And
I mean, we've been talking about this, how it's kinda like gender swapped, because
yeah,
this is the kind of thing that you would usually hear a wife's or a husband saying to his wife, like,
go home
"Oh,
and
don't
take care of our
worry.
kid.
Yeah, go home and take care of the kid, like, you're useless here."
But I mean, in I almost missed it the first couple times I watched it, but she's basically talking about the vitamin D plus. She's saying
Mhm.
make whatever time you have left with him count while he still like remembers anything that we've lived with him so far.
Yeah, and I'm just curious to see how the vitamin D plus actually works. Like, I know we talked about this
Yeah.
with Hugh Howie some, but, like, I'm really curious to see how this works and sort of what the tie-in is with, Charlotte in the past,
Yeah, because
and how
he
this
he
works with
did
memory.
Simmons did say in a previous episode that it's slower, right? So
Mhm.
is it just that they keep drinking it, and how long do they drink it, and like how like do things just get fuzzy? And
No, I mean, that's what I'm wondering is, like, sort of the mechanism, well, I guess we know the mechanism, which is the vitamin D plus, but we don't really know just sort of how they're gonna change people's memories, right? Like, is it a suggestion? Like, why is he forgetting all this, right? Or why won't he remember his father? Like, that's the part that I'm curious about. Like, what exactly is the memory or how exactly is vitamin D plus impacting memory?
Yeah, and like, is it going to be that he also does not remember his own son? Do they just wake up one day sitting around the table and think, "Oh my god, who are these people?" you
Right,
know?
right, right.
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. But he says, you don't have to do it. And she says, it will have to happen if I can't find her.
Mhm.
And so she radios Emerson to keep an eye on Judge Sim. So she is having him followed. Bernard arrives at Martha's, assisted by Knox, and we get another what the actual fuck from Patrick.
I mean, that's my favorite Patrick Kennedy line. Like, that is what he exists for at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, this one is pretty justified.
True, because it's like, this is when he finds out Bernard's alive.
Yeah, and he's thought for like 3 months now that he's dead, right? Because they've been
Right.
perpetuating this whole Bernard died and everything is his fault, and like they've had this narrative going for so long that I think the shock of seeing him is definitely it warrants a line like that. But
Yes.
Martha gives him water, and I feel like her bedside manner has greatly improved. As I will be commenting on throughout this episode.
Yeah, I mean, we get some good Martha lines here.
Yeah, yeah. But Patrick's like, okay, so is anyone else coming back from the dead? Maybe the old sheriff and his wife too.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, it was a good callback to season 1, right?
Yeah. But the interaction that I really enjoyed was Bernard telling Lucas, Mr. Kyle, I'm very glad to see that you're still alive. And I was just when I heard him say it, I was like, oh, the nerve. And then Lucas reacts exactly how I would have expected. He just scoffs. He's like, Psh, whatever. Cause because the way he treated him the last time he saw him was terrible, right? So
Yeah,
he had him under his thumb. He was keeping him under like a reign of terror, kind of like, right?
basically, right? Because if I recall correctly, he's basically saying, you've been sentenced to 5 years in the mines, even though she commuted your sentence, because it was longer than 5 years, but even though she commuted your sentence, you're still not going to make it out. But I'll let you work it off for me and
Yeah, and then he
transitory.
takes him into the vault and he turns his whole world upside down, and then he just ditches him and goes outside.
Yeah.
He basically just leaves him. I mean, that that sucks. And
Mhm.
then he had to go on the run because he didn't know what to do, and I don't know, just that whole like when Lucas just shakes his head, I was like, yeah, poor guy.
Yep.
Martha remarks that she didn't think he'd survive the move, and he's like, isn't a small part of you happy to see me again? These two are, I did not expect them to be like this cute together, but they are.
Mhm. It's like, I don't know, like, it's just I don't even know a good way to describe it. It's like they're frenemies is what they are.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But it's cute and I like it. I never thought I would, because I think the last time they saw each other, they were sitting in his office and she was like counting down to the rebellion starting, right? So
Mhm.
and she was like basically bragging to him that I had the tape swapped. She's gonna make it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, this is another thing too that, if I recall correctly, he had Martha under his thumb too,
Yeah, yeah.
and was,
He
like,
was
threatening her
watching
and stuff.
her,
Yeah, and so, I mean, the people that he kind of has fucked over, for the, lack of a better phrase, are the ones that are there, like, basically keeping him alive at this
keeping
point.
him alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my how the tables have turned.
Mhm.
But at this point, Juliet rushes in. She's like, I remember what we have to do. And then we come back, and Camille is getting news from Emerson on where to go. After Juliet explains about the pipe, Lucas looks to Bernard, and this had been in the recap, which illustrates how important the recap can be sometimes, because they'll show you scenes and remind you of things. And so the whole thing about Lucas and the hard drive and the two lines coming out of the silo was in the recap. But he looks at Bernard and he says one of the lines must have been the pipe. And then Bernard explains that he put the smashed hard drive back together, and that the diagram showed two lines, one to IT and one to judicial, which is what Jules had found out too. But Lucas explains that's what he was doing in the mines. He was trying to dig to the IT one. So he was playing Dig Dug for 3 months. He's just scratching around trying to get to the line. But apparently he was digging to the wrong one because Bernard's like, oh no, that's power from silo one. Which I was just kind of
I
amused
know,
by
like
because he's doing this one thing for 3 months and Bernard's just like, oh no, no, you should have been digging to the other one. I already know what that one is.
I mean, yeah, if like imagine if we're like sharing information, right? Or and I mean, and
Yeah.
we talked about this, right? Like Bernard had no reason to share anything until he gets shaken, you know?
Well, plus Lucas was in the mines by himself, so there was no opportunity to tell him,
Right.
right? Dude,
Right.
wrong one, go the other way. And Patrick, I like this. He calls him an idiot. He says they're not going to put some killer pipe where criminals dig all day, which is a
Well, you
fair
would think.
observation.
I mean, you would one would think, one would hope.
But Lucas does drop a bit of information that is important, I think, for the Glenda thing later. He says that there are tunnels in the mines that go up and down the silo. He says it really quickly and it's really easy to miss, but it's something that I think is gonna factor in later when Paul and Hank look more into Glenda's mysterious movements around the silo. But yeah, so Bernard tells him that the line to IT is power is electricity from silo one, and so that IT always has power, which brought up an interesting thing because we had talked about this on Discord in that Solo's vault does not have the voice.
Mhm.
So he either disconnected it or they stopped talking to them or something, but he still has power in IT. So I don't know.
Right. And I kind of wonder though, like if it's because they expect all of Silo 17 is gone.
Yeah.
Because it seems like our our algorithm slash overseer doesn't think that there is anyone in Silo 17.
Yeah, but at the same time, you would think that it would notice like the power consumption over the years, but I guess they must just leave it on in Silo 17. Maybe they need IT in the silo to have power anyway, even if there's no one in it.
Yeah, or I mean, like, I don't know. Like, there's been some interesting conversation this week that I'd like to dig into about like the algorithm because,
Yeah,
like, I don't know, maybe we're presuming it knows more than it does, or it's more
yeah,
sentient or knowledgeable than it actually is.
yeah. Because I mean, it's easy to assume that it's all knowing, right? But it doesn't seem to be that way. We keep seeing like gaps in information.
Hmm.
So So Knox figures says that the line to judicial must be the safeguard, and so they start talking. And Jules mentions Jimmy, and Patrick's like, "Who's Jimmy?" And I really want this to be foreshadowing because people have been bringing up. We really need Solo and Patrick to meet,
Hmm.
and I have to agree. They're two characters I would love to see interact with. They have the same beard, they have the same hair, and they're friends in real life. So,
Yeah, no, and plus it's like two conspiracy bros. I mean, Solo's not really a conspiracy bro. He was just a kid who was abandoned
but he's
and got kind of
paranoid,
weird.
right?
Yeah, exactly. He's paranoid. Two paranoid bros.
Same paranoid energy.
Yeah, exactly.
She says Jimmy had a blueprint, but she can't quite remember. And I was sketchy on this part in my memory. I guess I've been drinking vitamin D plus, but I was like, why didn't she figure out or learn where it was before heading back? And people said on the subreddit told me that it's because when they were looking at it, they heard the explosion of Pete
Mm,
blowing the stairs. So that kicked her into high gear of getting back to Silo 18. So she just left. So
mhm.
she didn't quite get to learn where it was. Camille approaches Martha's and Teddy watches and he goes to warn them. And I don't understand how he beat them back to her place. I guess he must know a shortcut
Or there's like tunnels or like slides. I don't know. I
or
would personally, I would love it if there were slides.
they take slides out for like special occasions. I think this was in the first episode. They show them putting them in, and I think they show kids sliding down them, and then they're removing them later. I think when Allison is going back upstairs, but
Hmm. I'm just saying, like, I would love it if we have like unauthorized slides or the trash chute, right? Where everyone's like, apparently that's just the way to get things done around the silos, go through the trash chute up and down.
yeah. So they talk about where they can get this blueprint, and Lucas says that if anything, it's on the hard drive. And he asks Juliet if 17 is just like 18. She says, yeah. So Knox is like, well, we can just go find it in 17. We can find out how to cap it, and then we can come back here. And I was just like, why is that their solution?
I
To
know, right?
literally go to another silo and then come back instead of like storming IT and trying to find it, or like sending Sims or something. I just feel like they chose a much harder option here. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, because they kinda made it seem like, you or I, like, "Oh, we just go outside and go to
Yeah.
the other one and find it."
Yeah,
But
let's
it's
just
like you
pop
ca
over there.
yeah, you can't really just sneak out of this place and, come back in.
And they show that to us with this whole episode, and Juliet trying to convince them that she needs to secretly try to get these people over there so that they can bring the kids back, but really she wants to bring the blueprints back. But I mean, I don't know. Just I don't know how this is all supposed to work, especially because she tells the algorithm there's kids, but like there's also a baby. How are they getting the baby over here? And like, are they just gonna leave them there? And what about Solo? I mean, is Solo one of the kids? Man child?
Oh, I
He's a
mean,
kid.
maybe.
He's a kid at heart. I don't know. I mean, I don't understand. This is skipping ahead, but they do cut out when the algorithm asks her how many children,
Mhm.
right? So they don't show us that part, but uh, I don't understand why this is the plan they've come up with instead of we must find this blueprint on our end kind of thing, or we have to go search judicial, or you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, n narratively, it makes sense because they're basically just cutting the fluff of, like, let's try to find a solution here, but within the context of the actual story, the actual narrative, you're right, like, the idea of we're just gonna hop outside and hop back in, not that easy given what we know
Yeah,
about the
yeah.
silos.
And then I had said this on the subreddit, and people had said, "Oh, the plan is probably that they're gonna just radio back the information." But and I thought, okay, that made sense. I forgot about that. But then I rewatched the episode, and Martha actually talks about this. She says, "Oh, I could try finding their channel and talk to them," but Jules is like, "I never saw him with a radio, and I never saw one myself." So I feel like they're kind of closing off that venue too. So I don't
Mhm.
know. Maybe they're gonna have to send whoever they send over with a radio so that they can radio back. I don't know.
Well, I mean, we are seeing some and we talked about this last week. This was last week, right? With the radios and the different channels?
Uh huh.
Yeah, that was last week. We talked about that a little bit, right, with the channel, so maybe they might find a channel to communicate on?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Teddy bursts in and says Camilo's coming. So Martha tells Bernard, "We gotta move you again." But I don't think they actually do, because I think what they do is they just send Jules out to go distract her. But next we go to Paul and Hank. They're talking about the missing light bulbs. And he says, "We just had another rebellion so soon, so we have to keep it quiet. And then we're going to find out who killed Orla." And Hank's like, "Well, maybe if we find out who stole these light bulbs, we'll find out who killed Orla." And I was just like, oh my God, that's like the obvious deduction. So why didn't Paul think of that? I do not think very highly of Paul's detective skills, and I guess it kind of makes sense because he's from judicial. He's like a lawman. He's not necessarily a detective.
Yeah, and I mean, like, we do kinda hear it a little bit later here where it's like, "You basically got this job by default." Like, there's no way you should be the sheriff right now
Yeah.
kinda thing, you know?
And I mean, he wasn't he was going to be placed as sheriff instead of Juliet to by judicial because they wanted someone who they could control, right? Because they have leverage
Mhm.
over him.
Yeah, and so, I mean, it's interesting. Like, he's been really interesting to me this season because he's not had much to do. I mean, we know about his wife, we know about his illness, but he's not really I'm hoping this Orla Kent story pays off more in the bigger
Yeah.
plot.
Yeah. I feel bad for him though, because and I feel like we're missing something that happened in the interim in the 3 months, because I think at the end of season 2, he was down in the down deep for a while, and he was kind of like, you know, getting along with people down there. And now it just seems like everybody hates him. So I feel like something happened where,
Well, that, and I mean, like, he's part of the institution, right? Like, he's
yeah,
part of
that's
he's
true.
like the man.
Yeah. So it then they take us back to the before times, and Daniel's like, "Oh no, we're going 70 now. If we jump, they'll die." And Helen's like, "Well, I wanted to jump at 40, but you said we died then."
No, this part was really funny because, like, I'm kind of with him. I feel like you would be very badly injured at 40 miles per
Yeah,
hour, but
yeah,
somehow still not as badly injured as 70 miles per hour.
yeah, yeah. But they argue about who might be behind it, and Helen's like, "Well, this is just like what happened to Charlotte's plane," and he's like, "You think someone in Iran is driving the van?" I was like, "No, that's not what she's saying, dude." But they look around for a tool because he wants to try to fiddle with something in the steering wheel. He's thinking he can stop it, and she empties out her purse, and the duck pez falls out, and he's just like looking at her like, "Oh, you kept that, huh?"
Mhm.
But she gives him a nail file. He tries to access the brake line. He cuts his hand, and she pulls out a big bandage. Where did she get that? And she's just patching up his hand. I was like, did she just carry those around, or were they
Just
in the glove
ready for
compartment,
anything.
or
Yeah, just ready for anything, really.
Joe's sketchy car rental and bandage?
Well,
It's
I mean, if you're gonna get a sketchy car rental, you probably should carry some first aid things in your purse.
logical. So then it goes back. I didn't really like the cuts here. I thought it was kind of choppy. I feel like they could have lengthened each like switch between things, but I mean I still like the episode, but I just felt like it was a little choppy this time because some of the scenes were like super short.
Mhm. And I mean, I think that could be it, right? Like, because if the scenes are short, then maybe they're not. I know exactly what you mean. We usually have like a little bit of a longer transition between the
Yeah,
scenes.
yeah,
We didn't. It was just like boom, boom, boom.
yeah. But Jules tells Camille, "I remember everything, and I know about the voice, and I really was looking forward to a little more than what they gave us because." Jules looks pissed, and rightfully so, right? Because now she's seeing Camille face to face, and this is the person who's been erasing her memory and like guiding her along like a puppet. And if it were me, I would be really mad. I mean,
Yeah.
but she tells them about the kids, and I like that. She says, "I know about the voice. I know about the other silos." And like Camille looks behind because there's two raiders standing right behind her, and I was just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, she's talking kind of loud." I I wonder if that's gonna come back because I feel like they had to have heard her, right?
That, and I mean, like, do they care? Or do they think she's crazy? Or I don't know. Like, I have a natural distrust of the Raiders. I mean, that's,
Uh,
you know, sort of like the
Especially after that
Gestapo.
guy Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of like the Gestapo of the silo, right? Like the enforcers. And so I don't necessarily trust them.
Hmm. I mean, I don't trust him either, but that's why I just think that, oh, what if they hurt her and then they go and tell everybody else, right? So
Hmm.
that would be a disaster. But I do like that Jules is like, people treat me like a living founder. You want to, and she even says, if I jump over the railing, people will jump too. And she dares her, like, she's like, you want to see what they'll do to follow me? And Camille tells her, "You sound like a threat to the silo," which really, I had started to feel sorry for Camille, but I am back in my hate camp for her right now. Just because she's very, I don't know. She, how do I put into words? She's just very, I'm the leader of the silo, and I don't care that, I am going to just do whatever the hell I want. So,
Yeah, I mean, she has definitely bought into the cool, like she drank the Kool-Aid, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, and so I think it's hard when you drink the Kool-Aid and do what she's doing, right? Because she's pretty much on the side of the silo.
yeah,
And at this point, she might actually be like the truest believer in terms of the
yeah.
players that we have on the scene.
But she takes the fob out and it's red, it's blinking red, calling her to the vault. And so I want to know, I can't remember if it vibrates. Do you remember if it vibrates? Does it ever vibrate when it's on Bernard's desk? Because I feel like she just randomly took it out of her pocket and it was red. But I feel like it had to have notified her somehow to look at it, right?
That and you might not hear the vibration if it's, like, on her person or if it's,
Yeah,
she's holding it, whereas if it's
yeah,
on a solid surface, you're gonna hear it.
yeah. I feel like it must vibrate because I mean, you can just forget about it, right? A lot
Mhm.
of times, if I have my phone on silent, if I don't put it back on vibrate, I'm gonna miss phone calls and text messages and all kinds of stuff, right? I just forget about it. So a car pulls up next to Helen and Daniel, and she gets all excited. She like rolls down the window and she starts waving at them like a maniac, like "Call the police!" And it's like he just said that they're going 70. So why are these people overtaking them at 70? And then
'Cause
and then
people
just
drive crazy.
in the country.
I mean,
But I just feel like this lady looks at her like she's crazy and she's like, "No, keep going." Like if you see someone going like this, like call the police kind of that's a pretty universal sign for a call for help kind of thing,
yeah.
right? So this lady I thought was terrible to just tell her husband keep driving.
Yeah, I mean, like, she didn't wanna get involved, right? She was like, "Just let's get around this crazy stuff." And I mean, like, I think that's a I mean, you talk about the critiques and some of the critiques that the show's making, right? I mean, that's kinda how we are as a society. Like, I think there are some people who would do what you said, which is like, "Oh, this person needs help, let's call the police." Because, like, she could have been a kidnap victim, right? And there's a reason I think that it's Helen that's like, "Help, call the police," instead of, Daniel. But, like, I think there are people just like these who would just be like, "We're not gonna get involved with that. We don't wanna get shot. We're gonna keep going." And by the way, like, if they're going 70, that's actually pretty slow.
Really?
Because well, yeah, I don't like, what are your speed limits in Hawaii?
I think 55,
Oh,
maybe
okay.
60.
So here, on a lot of highways, like, on the mainland, 70 is the speed limit. Now, I think on the East
Ah,
Coast, most of ours are, like, 60, 65, but everyone's doing at least 70 to 75.
oh
To keep
wow.
up with traffic. So, yeah, 70 is actually slow on an interstate.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. It is like
I th-
70 is the speed limit, like in like Ohio and Indiana and places I drive a lot. Like 70 is the speed limit.
I mean, people drive more than 60 here, but that's the posted limit, I think,
Mhm.
on
And
the
I guess we
freeway.
should be clear we're talking miles per hour, not
Yeah,
kilometers. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, Helen has a pretty appropriate response to them pulling away. She's like, "What the fuck?"
Right, because like what if she were like some victim of trafficking or something? Like and actually they don't know what they're a victim of right now. So it could be anything, but
Yeah.
like what if she were a trafficking victim trying to get help and they're just like, "Okay, we're going to pull away."
I mean, I can like make myself feel better and say that, they pulled away but they still called. And like it didn't really do anything because obviously like they know where they are and they know like they're
Well,
monitoring them and stuff like that. So
are we assuming that they called or like because
well,
I
no,
get the impression
I'm just saying that I'm gonna tell myself to
uh
keep my faith in humanity that they do call. They just
yeah.
want to get away to
Y-
safety before
I
they
mean,
call.
people are big on self-preservation. I had a situation once where I was running late to an exam review when I was a student and I shut my finger in the car door.
Oh
And I'm, like,
no.
screaming, "Help, help, help," like, to get someone to come help, and someone finally said, are you being serious? Do you really need help?" And I'm like,
Oh my
"Yes, I shut my
god.
finger in the door. Can you come and, like, open the door for me?" Because like, I couldn't do it myself,
Uh-huh.
because like, this hand was, like, caught in the
This
door.
hand.
Yeah,
Oh no.
and so yeah, but she came over and helped. But like I understood because where we were, people did get mugged and stuff like that. And like
Uh
carjackings are a thing and and so like I get it, right? And she's a woman and so she's like, "Do you really need help? Like is this for real?"
yeah.
And I'm like, "Yes, please." And she helped me. She helped me.
Hank and Paul go to talk to Mark, but he's very angry about his friend being thrown over the railing by two raiders during the rebellion. And Paul asks, "Oh, is this Lee Torrington? And was he thrown over for using a weapon that you made?" And I was just like, "Well, if he did have a weapon, why does that mean that they can throw him over the railing, Paul?" Right?
I mean, yeah, again, like, what is actual justice in this system that we have here?
I was kind of surprised by that from him. I mean, there are other ways to subdue someone with an illegal weapon. You can arrest them, you can, you know, hit them, like just throwing them over the railing, that's death. Horribly. I
Mhm.
mean, and I mean, that goes back to what you've been saying all this time about the whole bloodless rebellion facade. I mean,
Yeah.
this guy was thrown over the railing. So, I mean, there obviously was actual fighting where people were throwing people down into the
Yeah.
bottom of the silo.
And I
So,
mean, this honestly, that's what we would call an extrajudicial killing, right? Like, there was
mm,
no actual
no
justice.
trial.
Right, not even within the confines of this society or their justice system. He was thrown over the railing by raiders. Like, they came, they saw, they threw him over.
Yeah, yeah, which is brutal. I mean, ugh.
I think it is a commentary, right, in terms of, like, the concept of the bloodless rebellion, the extrajudicial nature of this, and just sort of like whose narrative do we buy? Because obviously he doesn't buy that whatever happened to his friend was okay. Meanwhile, the people in charge are like, well, he had a weapon.
Yeah,
Shrug.
yeah. And I think that's what antagonizes him so much too, right? He's like, I'm not gonna tell you shit. And it's a fair thing after he says something like that to him. So I feel like
Mhm.
Paul needs to work on his interrogation technique too. Like I
Yeah.
said, he's not a very good detective. He's not very good at speaking to people when he needs something from them. And I feel like the only reason he succeeds at getting anywhere is because Hank is with him to help him see reason. Like slow your roll, man. You're going at this the wrong way.
Yeah. I mean, Hank has always just been really good at talking to people.
Yeah,
Whereas like Paul is very like I don't know how to describe it. He's one of those people like he's lived his life by the book. That's why he's tasked with like rewriting the pact, right?
yeah,
Um and so he's lived his life by the set of rules and he's very much a rules forward kind of guy whereas Hank has been amongst the people.
yeah. He knows how things work and how it complicates things. So,
And plus I think Paul very much knows he's kind of like on borrowed time within the silo.
mm,
Not because of his own health things, but like if Mark knows that Kathleen is involved, other people at this point have to know that she's involved.
yeah. Yeah, and he throws that right in her face, right in Paul's face, and he tells him,
Right.
you're an accident. I thought it was brutal what he said. He was like, "You're wearing Holston's hand me downs, and they're one size too big." And he tells him, he tells him to arrest his wife. That everybody knows that she's an outsider, and that angers Paul enough where he takes out his cuffs, which did not look as tough as he maybe thought it would. And he's Mark is not intimidated. But Hank is there and he's like, wait, 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 we just want to find out about theft and critical supply. And Paul tries to like meet him halfway. He says, I'll find out who these raiders were and I'll give them your names, and whatever you do with that information is up to you. So he's basically giving him a hall pass for vigilante justice. And like at this point, Hank is like, "Oh, are you sure?" But Mark tells them to look into Knox's dad because he was a known thief and he would know more than he does. And then,
Which I found interesting because this, I believe, is the first mention of Knox's dad.
yeah, it is. And I was really surprised by this. I was like, I don't recall ever hearing anything about Knox having a dad. So, but as they leave, Mark's like, I want those names. So I have to wonder if they're going to bring that back. Like just a casual mention. Two raiders have gone missing.
Oh. And it'd be like that sometimes, I guess.
So next we go back to Helen and Daniel. They've moved to the back of the van, and did you see that the pedal is moving on its own?
Yeah. Like, I find
Yeah,
this very odd. And, like, we know it's not a self driving car,
yeah,
but I just find it very odd.
yeah. But she says once someone sees that no one's driving, they'll call the cops. And Daniel's like, And earlier, her idea was to throw the key fob out of the van. And he's like, I don't think that's going to work because what if your kid throws your thing out and you stop in the middle of the freeway?
Yeah, like, I think he says, like, "Yeah, if your kid throws a fob out on I-95, your car's just gonna stop." Which, I mean, it didn't even make a noise because, like, I have one of those types of fobs to enter,
Yeah,
and when you
yeah.
take the key fob out and the car is still
It
running, it's
starts
very
beeping,
much
right?
like, yeah,
Yeah, like your key is too far away. Beep, beep, beep.
right.
So Camille takes Jules into the vault, and the voice asks why she's there. And she tells the voice about the kids in 17 that she wants to bring them back here. She's not a threat, that silo is flooding and they're going to die. But it denies her request, citing disaster if she leaves the silo. And if other members of another silo come to 18, it calls them invasive. Which I thought was an interesting choice of words. But she volunteers to go back on the drugs and says that they can drug the kids too. It asks how many children, and then, like I said earlier, it cuts away. They don't show us what she says. It just goes to Camille and Juliet going outside the vault, and Camille turns on. She's like, "I think you're up to something." And this is where Jules finally like gets mad enough to touch her. I wanted her to slap her here, but
Mhm.
we get a shoulder jab.
Yeah, and Camille just looks at her like, "What the hell?"
But I mean, she points out, she's like, "You have the nerve to call into question my honesty when you've been drugging me and lying to me this for 3 months." Which fair. I mean, the stuff that she did to her was you don't do that to people.
No.
But she's like, "I'm gonna find someone to go get them, and then I'll go back to being your mayor." So back in the car, I thought it was so funny because back when we saw what the episode title was, I thought it was going to be the hard drive, but it's literally a drive
Yeah.
in a van.
I mean, yeah, and because we talked about this where we kinda thought that this episode would be more,
Before
in the
times.
past. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But Helen's plan of just waiting until someone sees a car driving itself isn't working because there's no other cars to see them. They're all in the boonies, and she's like, "Don't rental cars have locator things?" Which I think she means GPS.
Mhm. Which I think actually every car has some kinda GPS in it after
Now
you're
it
here.
does, yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, they say this on FBI all the time. They're like, "Oh, is this car recent enough to have GPS?" Because the FBI can just turn it on all the time and track the car. But
Isn't that
they always
scary?
they I know they always say though that certain cars are too old and they don't have them. So I guess his van is too old.
So I wonder about that because if it's old enough or new enough to have that kinda key fob, see,
Yeah.
I think that might be how they know where they are and, like, how they're controlling the car. Like, somebody turned something on to make this
Uh,
happen. Like, because this car didn't just start driving itself.
but I thought it was funny where Daniel says, "I got this from Joe's sketchy car rental. There is no locator." That's where we get our episode title from. But I changed it to ship because this is their their bonding in this car, right? This is their trauma
Yeah.
bonding.
Well, yeah.
And she's like, "You're a congressman. People would notice if you don't show up for work, right?" And he's like, "Well."
I don't know. That's what I'm saying, like, there's so much good stuff in this show that's, like, kind of a little too on the nose sometimes.
Yeah, yeah, because he's just like, "Well, it's gonna take them at least a day, and they're just gonna be happy that I'm not yapping about lawmaking." And she's like, "Well, no one's gonna look for me because I just got fired, and I'm a really shitty friend, so there's no one who's gonna come looking for me." But he points out that if they wanted to kill them, and I had been thinking the same thing, if they wanted you dead, they would have like killed you like right after they took over the car. Like, why are they driving you into the country?
Mhm.
But he's like, maybe we're going someplace nice.
I
Sweet
mean,
Daniel.
yeah, sweet summer child Daniel.
And she replies in true Helen fashion, "We're so fucked."
Mhm.
So Jules enters Martha's and she startles and she looks over at Bernard who's sleeping and she settles down, which I thought was very subtle but cute because she's worried about him napping, you know. And she's like, "Oh, did she wake him up?" But I was just like, "Why is her door just unlocked with Bernard sleeping on her couch where anyone could see?"
I mean, she has confidence that either one, whoever comes by her office is not going to be a snitch, or two, she just doesn't care.
But Julia's like, "Where's Patrick?" She's like, "He wouldn't stop talking." So she moved them out to someplace down the hall because Bernard needs rest. It's like, oh. But she updates Martha. And I do want to point out that Juliet seems to be teleporting or getting a ton of steps in because she was just upstairs in the vault and now she's downstairs on 144 all of a sudden again. I mean, have hours gone by or is she
I
just
mean,
magically. This is one of those times I think where they just like forego the distance thing and they need her to be here, so they just have her here.
yeah.
But she tells her that her request is approved and she has to pick two people. And Martha's like, "Oh, is this voice a machine or a person?" But Jules says she doesn't know. And I thought that was interesting because people have been debating this for weeks now. Is it an AI? Is it a person? And I feel like we got a lot of more insight into the answer to this, or it's bringing us closer to an answer. And I feel like Martha saying this is a very pointed. It was in that line was in there for a reason to make people, maybe if people weren't questioning it now they might question it, but
Hmm.
she tells Martha, you know, when I went outside I had no choice and that there's thousands of bodies out there, and so whoever we send has to be brave enough to walk past all those people and come back, you know, after they achieve what they need to achieve. And so she's like, you know, I don't think I could do it if I if I didn't know what I knew. So Martha points out that they have to be strong and they have to be smart and they have to find the pipe and know how to cap it. And so Bernard wakes up and he tells them that they have to be engineers and they have to be the best that they have. And so this is important later because of who they end up sending out. So I want to bring that up later. But Martha tells her, just ask, you know,
Hmm.
because it's obvious that they're all thinking about Shirley and Knox. So Knox goes to Shirley in the Gap office and he asks her what's wrong. And he tells her to sit down. And I feel like now in hindsight this is a clue to what they reveal later. You know, he wants her to take it easy kind of thing.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
but she can't stop thinking about how they can all die suddenly from this safeguard and that they'll never get a chance to, and then you know it's a leading thing. So I had thought at this point that she was talking about getting pregnant, you know, because we had talked about how they had focused on her hip and how she removed her birth control. And at this point, they spot Hank and Paul approaching. And then Paul and Knox have a very contentious conversation. And it seems to be triggered by Paul asking about his dad.
Yeah.
Because the level of aggression that he serves back to Paul kind of surprised me.
It did, but it seems like his dad is like a trigger for
Yeah.
him. And we
Yeah.
just don't know enough yet. I feel like this is leading somewhere, but like we don't
Yeah.
quite know enough yet to know what about his dad makes him such a trigger.
But yeah, I mean, he mentions, you know, they're there about a murder about Orla Kent, and he's like, I don't know who that is. And Paul like tells him, of course you know who she is. She was at the council meeting, and he just gets really angry at him, and they almost come to blows, and Hank has to pull him away. So he talks to him about the Harwoods, and he says, I didn't get anything from Glenda, but he says maybe we can track their movements. And so they go to knock on Erickson's door, and Paul's like, take us to where you watch everybody. And she's like, oh no, they shut it down.
Mm. Yeah.
That's not going to work on him. So, but next we go back to Martha and Bernard. We have another interaction between them. They really are cultivating this, and I thought it worked. I haven't read a lot of thoughts about the two of them, but I like it. So
Yeah.
because she brings him food and he's fiddling with something in his hand and it kind of looks like a gum wrapper almost, right?
Yeah, I couldn't really tell what it was.
Because it was like it looked like paper like consistency and it was silver, so it didn't really look like actual metal. And it didn't look
Yeah.
like maybe it was foil, like foil that had been like
On food or something?
oh maybe like foil paper from the cafeteria, maybe kind of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah. But he tells her about a relic that he kept in his pocket for years that was found in a pillowcase a long time ago. She's like, "What did it?" And he says they were called good luck charms, and that made me curious because, like, you would think that something like good luck charms would make it into the silo, like through history. Like, it wouldn't be like an old concept that disappears and becomes like a thing from the past.
Yeah.
But he says that it burned up when he went outside, and she asks, "Did it work?" And he's like, "Well, I'm still alive, but I don't know if that's good luck."
Right? Like, eh.
But she's not letting him say that. She's like, "Oh God, you." What did she say? She's oh boo hoo.
Yeah, like, she's not taking, like, any pity on him.
Yeah, she's like, "You're still alive. You're being waited on hand and foot." She says, "All you have to do is lay back and pontificate."
Yeah, I mean, she's not, like, giving him any pity. She's not pulling any punches.
But he asks her, "Why did you keep me alive?" And she says, "It's because he was willing to help save Juliet." She says he's still a rat shit asshole. Don't be surprised if you wake up with a screwdriver in your eye. But he tells her, like people have always wanted him dead, even when he was a boy, for being too smart and too quiet. And that I think speaks to Bernard in the book, because Bernard in the book was kind of creepy. So
Well, I was gonna say, like, too, do we really trust that? Like, "Oh, everyone's always hated me." Like, it seems like a narrative someone tells themselves.
yeah, yeah,
Like, I was always, like, too smart for the smart kids and or too smart for the dumb kids and too dumb for the smart kids or something like that, you know?
yeah. And it's like maybe to the other case, you were just really unbearable to be around.
Right.
But she laughs about something and says that Carla said if she liked men and he liked people, they'd make a great couple.
I love that line so much because it was
I
so funny because it's
know.
like, yeah. I don't know. I really like that line. Like they would be a great couple, and I could see them being a power couple actually.
Yeah. And I do want to note that they passed this little silver heart back and forth to each other right after she says that. So something's brewing.
Maybe they're going to be like a lavender marriage.
Maybe. Unsanctioned. Because he's supposed to be dead.
Right.
So Daniel says, I wanted to apologize. And Helen live edits him and tells him, You're talking in the wrong tense. So he says, I want to apologize. And he says this is about his remark about journalistic fraud. And she's like, You really didn't look it up? And he said he started to read it, but I think at that point Sam called him, and so he got distracted because he had the article up on his screen when Sam called him at the call center. So
Mhm.
but she explains that she did a piece on drug addiction among Capitol staffers. She changed their names, and rumors are flying that it wasn't just staffers that the Speaker of the House was using. And another paper posted an article or published an article saying who they think the source was, and it was some lady named Jillian. And she said that unfortunately they were correct. So she wanted to protect her because she felt she didn't do a good enough job of hiding who she was. And so she published a tearful admission that she made up her source, and so she tanked her career just to protect this lady. And Daniel's just looking at her like with heart eyes, like, oh.
She's got to be the nicest person in DC. That's what I'll say for her. Because
I
like,
know.
yeah, like taking your whole career just to protect this person because you're like, well, I didn't do a good enough job of like protecting my source and like anonymizing, which to be fair, and I think this has come up before, in a place like DC, it's really small. Like it
Hmm.
seems like it's huge and like cuz so much goes on there, right? Like it's the center of the American government, but like it's actually quite a small town in terms of like those political players. Like of course they knew who it was. And honestly, they probably already know the speaker is using. It's probably not even her article that is the tip off. But that's kind of how it goes because she, was willing to fall on her sword, so to speak, to protect this person.
But I feel like this kind of idealistic thing that she did is something that Daniel would really admire just because of how he is.
Hmm.
He's, a freshman congressman and he still believes in the system. He believes in good people and all that kind of stuff. So I feel like
Right.
that really gets to him, I think. So,
Right. And I also wonder if there's any foreshadowing here too coming up for either what we're seeing in the silo or for what happens with them in the before times or the past.
hmm,
Um, because like I feel like the before time stuff has been really good, either foreshadowing or sort of explaining what's going on.
explaining.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Next, we go back to Jules. She's told Knox and Shirley that she wants them to go to 17, and he's saying, no, she's not going. And he's like, I'll go by myself. And they're like, you can't go by yourself. You have to take two people. And he's like, well, I'll take Teddy. And Shirley asked Jules to like leave them alone a little while. So this is where they reveal that she's already pregnant because he's like, I'll tell her and she'll never let you go. And so she threatens him and says, well, if you tell her, then you're not going to be part of this baby's life. Um, and they reveal later why this means so much to Knox. I mean, you can assume that about any guy who learns about the fact that he's going to be a father, but
Mhm.
I feel like it's even more for Knox just because of what he reveals later. So
Right. This particular storyline has created a lot of conversation.
yeah,
And I don't know, it's really interesting in terms of like what we know about reproduction within the silo, because I personally have not read the books. But just from what we've seen in terms of like, needing a lottery or having a lottery to determine who has a baby and, sort of controlling who gets to reproduce and how does the birth control work. And because it's obviously an implant, right? We saw the scar that
yeah,
Shirley
yeah,
had. I don't know. I find this storyline to be interesting. Like I'm always really interested whenever I'm watching or reading anything that's science fiction, to see how reproduction is handled because it's a big part, right, of
yeah,
sci-fi because we're talking life. Like how do
yeah,
we reproduce a silo? Like how do we keep 10,000 people in the silo and its reproduction? But at some level, we're having to limit reproduction. But also, it seems like we're only controlling the reproduction of some of the people in this silo.
yeah.
So I don't know. It's really interesting or I'm really interested in seeing where this goes. And also as a viewer who didn't read the books, but as a viewer, learning more about how the rules work around reproduction beyond what we've already
Well,
learned.
I mean, so I've been reading on the subreddit, and there's quite a I mean, I'm not going to say a lot, but I've been seeing people really upset about this storyline. They feel like it came out of nowhere. It's very uninteresting and it doesn't make any sense because there's the birth control system. And there seems to be a lot of misunderstanding about the
Mm,
birth control because people think just because it's there that, you know, women can't get pregnant. But and they don't understand why she was able to cut it out and like how she knew where it was. And I was just like, well, I mean, you think about it, they put these in these women when they're girls. We had
mhm.
read this in the pact. There were some pages that we had examined. We took screenshots and stuff like that. But basically, when the girls come of a certain age, I guess when they have their first period, they put the birth control in. So they know where it goes, you know.
Right.
I mean, a girl's not gonna wake up from this surgery, or not even wake up. I don't. I think they'll just locally anesthetize. But
Let's
she,
be real here, right? We're not getting surgeries for birth control. We're gonna get like the least amount of pain control. But go ahead.
yeah. I'm just saying that it's not secret information where it is.
Right.
Everybody knows where it is because they
Right.
put it in these girls and they're going to have a scar and uh, and people seem to misunderstand where it is too. They think it's in their arms, but no, it's in their hips, which makes more sense to me because it's right by the uterus.
Well, yeah, and I think they're thinking arm because the ones that we have that implant the birth control implants that we actually have are in the arm.
Uh-huh.
And so I think maybe that's why people are making the arm comparison. I mean, I've seen people talk about the IUD comparison, which is not the
uh
same.
yeah.
But yeah, I find it fascinating that people think it's out of nowhere, it's boring or whatever because like I said, I'm really interested in like these questions of reproduction and what they're saying, and you know what this theme says about who gets to reproduce.
Yeah, and so that's something I've been trying to explain is that it's not just the physical biological limitation. That's only part of their birth control system. The Probably the more important part is the societal aspect, right? They have to have these people so set in this mindset that they have to leave it in them. Because you look at Shirley and you look at Allison in the very first episode, they cut it out of themselves. Any woman can do that,
Right.
right? It's just that they are kept at a mental level of understanding that I cannot take this out of me because it's for the good of the silo. You
Hmm.
know, it's the law. I have to follow the law. I have to follow the rules. I can only get it removed if I win the lottery, right?
Right. And I mean, what's weird about it is like you're talking about following the rules, good of the silo for a reproductive choice, right? The choice
Yeah.
to have a child. And I mean, if you want to talk about sort of like parallels, I mean, think about like China's former one child policy.
Mhm.
And, it's not like I'm an expert in that policy, so I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, this is the policies. But, my basic understanding of it is, right, is each family in China gets to keep one child, which has now created a series of societal issues because
Yeah.
most families chose to keep baby boys. And if they had a baby girl first, she's put up for adoption, right? And so now you have a place like China that there is a serious imbalance of men to women, like ratio wise. So now we have
Yeah.
a different population issue. But the point being is that was an official government policy. It's the
Yeah.
government telling you you can't reproduce. And I think that's the problem. And to me, like, I don't even see it being a uniform thing because, like, how do they keep getting people to work in the mines? Like, I know they get criminals down there, don't get me wrong, like I understand that point, but like there's a whole upper echelon of society, a middle echelon, and a lower echelon. And that lower echelon you need to keep working, right? So you have to keep
Yeah.
reproducing those workers. And to me, what we're seeing with the lottery is more so the party loyalists, right? That
Yeah.
get to sort of have children because they're loyal to the silo.
Yeah, I would be really interested to hear any kind of like cuz there must be like some kind of population control office, right?
Yeah, but this comes back to something that we talked about previously, and I know other people have different thoughts on what this meant, but the whole like when we found out that Orla was dead, we went from 9913 to 9912.
Mhm.
I don't think they have an accurate population count.
Yeah, yeah. It
I
doesn't
think,
seem like they do.
yeah. And especially if there's this concept of like people can have babies and somehow hide them or
Yeah.
them not be official babies. If that, I mean, they're babies, but they're not like officially.
Unsanctioned. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and so, like,
I mean,
I still
Jules
question that.
herself is an unsanctioned baby. Because
Yeah.
they do say at some point, I think Bernard says it, that the birth control system isn't perfect, that, mistakes sometimes happen, which is the case for birth control now, right? Condoms
Mhm.
break, pills don't always work.
Right.
So, yeah, I think if people wanted to, they could just take it out, have a baby, and say, oops, must be one
Right.
of those mistakes. But
And what's really the penalty for this?
yeah,
Like, you go to the mines? Like, "Oh, okay, we got another person in the mines." They're just gonna take the baby, right? And I don't know, like, I'm interested to see where this develops out to and sort of what is the currency in this particular storyline.
yeah.
Um, I don't know, I'm also kinda triggered by, as you may recall, someone named Chris Carter. Um, but not triggered isn't the right word, but like I feel like we often get particularly male writers who kind of come in and futz around with like reproductive themes, and they either go nowhere or they go to the worst places possible.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that this is that storyline, but I'm just curious to see where it fits into this dynamic of, authoritarian control and like who gets to have kids and why they get to have kids.
Yeah. So going back to what I said about the societal aspect of the birth control is that Allison cut hers out because she had lost complete faith in the system. She felt she was being lied to. She wanted to go outside, and that's what she did to prove it, right? She cut it out to make sure that, because they had told her they took it out of her. They did the whole, like, put the curtain up, we're gonna take it out of you, but then they don't take it out of her, they show her a different one. But yeah, she lost all faith in the silo, so that's why she cut it out. And I feel like the rebellion just happened, and Shirley was framed for killing Judge Meadows, and she was hunted throughout the silo, and all these bad things happen. And so I feel like that's what happened with her. She lost all her faith in the silo and the government, so she was just like, well, why do I need to have this thing in me? Fuck you. And so she cut it out. So
Yeah.
my
I mean,
my my remaining question is why she wanted a baby at that tumultuous time. But I mean, at the same time, you, you can always just say, her biological clock is thinking. Maybe she just wanted a
right.
baby. So
That, and I mean, it never gets any better, right? Like,
yeah,
this is their life. Like, at what point in the silo is there ever going to be a good time to have a baby, right? Like, this is just life. And I think that's something else that, when you start talking about reproduction and reproductive choice, that for some people, there are never the right circumstances to have a
yeah,
baby.
yeah. They
Or I
just
should
want
say
what
the
they want,
perfect. Right.
right? Yeah. So I mean, the people saying that this doesn't make any sense. Why would she want a baby? And I was just like, well, I mean, it doesn't have to make sense,
Right.
right?
She just wants a baby. Like, she wants a mom. Like, wants to be a mom. Like, that's it. Like, why does it
Yeah,
have to be some like big, you know, why does she have to have a reason, I guess, besides she just wants to have a baby? And it seems that Knox also wants to be a father.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
what other reason do they need?
yeah. I feel the same way. It doesn't need to make sense because it might just make sense to them. So, and that's all you
Right.
need.
Right. And I mean, that's really, if you want to talk about choice, that's what we mean by choice, right? Is it just
Yeah,
needs to make sense to the people who are involved and responsible for raising this baby. That's it.
yeah. But he tells her, if anything happens to you and the baby, he doesn't think he can come back from that. He makes her promise that if something happens to him, she just keeps going. And they go and they tell Jules that they'll do it. Um, Next, we have Camille coming home to Anthony and Robert. They're sitting very tensely. They're not eating a ginormous portion. It looks like egg omelet or some kind of quiche or something. I was very bothered by this uneaten food because I just feel like in this silo, I just feel like food must be precious, right? So
Well, not for them though, right? They're kind of at the top.
I guess it bothered me though. But yeah, he's in trouble because he stole 12 credits from school from the teacher's desk, and he tried to blame it on someone else. And Robert says, "Oh, if it happens again, he's going to be expelled, and he has to go work in supply." And they send him to his room, and they argue about, like who should be doing what and who's focusing on what. And she tells him their conversation turns to like what's going on with the silo between them. And so she's like, "You need to stop what you're doing." I don't.
Mhm.
She doesn't know what it is. But she says, when I find out what it is, I'm going to have to do something. So she's threatening him.
Yeah. I mean, she is, I mean, it's a threat, but it's also a warning like, "Hey, I'm onto you. This is
Yeah.
your time now to jump off that ship, to,
Yeah.
get off that train, so to speak, of whatever you're doing and leave it."
So do you think that he will?
No.
Yeah, I don't think he will either.
No. I mean, unfortunately, their family is now caught up in this.
Yeah.
Um, but I think they're just on two opposing ends of,
With the
you
same
know,
goal, right?
right,
But
right.
he's gonna have his own thoughts. He's gonna think my way is the right way and yours isn't. So he's gonna that's I think that's what'll keep him opposed to her.
Yeah.
So we go back to Daniel. Oh my god, there's so much switching. But Daniel's, hey, so how about that Pez that was in your purse? And she's like, oh, I didn't even know it was there. But and before I forget, I want to point out that I've said before that I find Helen to be very beautiful. But
Mhm.
did you notice that she has like a Cindy Crawford mole?
Yes, yes, I did.
I mean, it's on the other side of, like, Cindy Crawford's was on her left side, but and Helen's is on her right, but or Jessica's is on her right, but she's so pretty, and I I love when she smiles at him.
Yeah, I mean, I think this was good casting. I saw so the only 2 things I've seen Jessica Henwick in, 1, she didn't get enough screen time, and 2, the other one, she got great screen time, but it just wasn't a good project. And so, I think
You're
this
talking
was
about
a
Game of
pretty good
Thrones.
casting.
Who was
Well,
she?
actually,
Who was she in Game of Thrones?
she was one of, Oberyn Martell's, bastard daughters, the Sand
Oh, okay.
Snakes.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and that I feel like she didn't get enough screen time because they kind of wasted those characters,
Yeah.
in my opinion, as a book reader. Um, but the second thing was Iron Fist,
Hmm.
the Marvel series on Netflix, Iron Fist, and she was good. Overall, the project not so great, in my opinion.
Hmm. I did not watch that. But so he's like, "Oh, you sure you didn't keep it as a memento, the world's worst blind date?" And she's like, "It wasn't a date." Keeping up that whole this thing between this inside joke between them, I find really endearing. So,
Yeah.
but police cars surround him. And they're like, "Oh, yay, it worked!" But then they spot the white haired man looking at them very creepily from another car, and
He's
Daniel
just basically like, "Hey guys, what's up?"
yeah. But Daniel realizes, oh, they're escorting us. That's why the car's not stopping. So they have a destination. So they have to just write it out. It goes back to Camille. She heads to the vault. She has a Camille down.
Come meltdown.
She's like, "Oh, my son is a thief, and I think Juliet is a threat to the silo. This is a mistake, and like everything is going bad, and it's all my fault." And she actually tells the voice, "Fuck you."
Yeah.
And actually, to back up a little bit, when she comes into the vault, she immediately starts talking, and the voice doesn't answer.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is a big clue that it's not an AI, that it's a person, because I could just picture the
Ooh.
person went to the bathroom and she's like talking and they're still washing their hands and like, oh, she's back. you
Yeah, I
know?
mean, that would explain too why they don't know as much because that's what I'm starting to think. I hadn't thought that because what you're saying is kind of like a Wizard of Oz type deal, right? Where
Yeah.
you find out
Yeah.
the great and powerful Oz is really just a dude from Kansas.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert if you haven't watched the movie or read the book since 1939 or whatever, I guess.
Man
But
behind the curtain, right?
yeah, right. You find out he's just a man who just wanted power. And so, I mean, it could be that, but I've been starting to question, like I mentioned earlier, just sort of like there seems to be some really key things that the algorithm doesn't know. And if it's this all knowing being or thing, all knowing power, that it should know, but it
Um,
doesn't know.
I see so many theories that the voice is Daniel, and people are like, "Oh, they sound similar," but I've tried listening and I don't hear it. So
Wouldn't he have to be like over 100?
I don't know. I don't know what, because I see these theories and I just write it off and I don't even read the full post. But I see this theory floated around all over the place.
I mean, it could be his voice, but I think if we're taking for at face value the fact they've been down here a few hundred years, I could see it being his voice, but not his person.
Yeah, that could be something. But like I said, I don't hear the similarities between the voices. So yeah, I don't know. It turns into a therapist for her.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd call it a therapist. I mean, I'm interested in your view on this, but like it seems a little
No,
manipulative.
yeah, I just meant that, like, it starts talking to her in a calming voice, like, "You're
Yeah.
emotionally exhausted. Take a moment to reflect." You know?
Right, like calm down.
Yeah,
And I just wonder too, like, is this machine being sexist? Because how many times did it tell Bernard to just take a breath? I can tell
yeah.
you're overly excited. Like, please, please, please.
Well, he is too quiet, so maybe it didn't need to tell him that.
Yeah. I don't know, but like that was the impression I got watching this scene was like there's a bit of manipulation afoot here of Camille. And I want to be really clear when I say this. I'm not saying, oh, please excuse all of her actions. That is not what I mean. But I do think that there seems to be some sort of manipulation afoot with that AI or whoever it is talking to her to make sure that she stays on path.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I feel like she's totally being manipulated. You know, she's a puppet, and they're pulling all her strings, and they seem to know exactly what to say to emotionally manipulate her. So, you know, you're emotionally exhausted, but girl, you're also emotionally manipulated. So
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
because
it seems to know when she needs to hear a compliment to keep going, because it just kind of heaps praise on her here. It's like,
yeah.
you were chosen for this because you're capable. You can do this.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's one of those things where at some level they had to understand sort of her psychology and what how far she'd be willing to go because they're not going to put
Yeah.
someone in that position who's not willing to take it to the ends of the earth, right? And
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
everything that they want.
And she seems to be working out just great in that department.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, I mean, they chose wisely. So next we go to Paul and Hank being taken by Erickson to janitorial, and oh my god, this guy Diego, every season he's just known. He's just somebody who just states I call him Captain Obvious because he always says the most obvious thing. It's like, you're not supposed to be here.
Mhm.
Yes, they know. But Paul pulls out his gun. He tells him all to get out, and Erickson he has Erickson show them footage all over the silo. He wants to see the mines. He wants to see the stairs. He wants to see supply, and Hank spots Glenda in both places. And at first, the way that they worded it, they're like, "Oh, is this at the same time?" I was like, "What?" I was so confused. I was like, "What does that mean? Are they deep faking her face? What's going?"
Yeah, at first I was just like, are we assuming cuz I thought maybe the video's on a loop or something or,
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think we're supposed to get or what we're supposed to the conclusion we're supposed to be drawing is there is some kind of tunnel or some method of travel in the silo that is unofficial that we don't know about.
Yeah, because then Erickson said it's the same 10 minutes. So Paul's like, how did she get from the mines to supply in 10 minutes? And like I said earlier, Lucas had said that there's tunnels going all up and down the mines. So that's probably what she's using.
Yeah, and she would know
So,
the mines because she is from like, her dad is, like, the in
yep,
charge of mining,
yep,
so
yep. But I don't know like how many levels it is. It kind of sounds like maybe 10 because he asked to see 10 levels down, but I don't have it noted down where supply is. So next we have Shirley coming back to the Gap office during lunchtime because their Knox is eating and she's carrying a lunch tin or something. She asked about earlier when things got tense with Paul, and she's like, "What? What was that?" Basically, because even I guess even she was confused by it, and he tells her about how his father was a thief and he was in and out of the mines and that he'd fuck up their lives every time he came back, and they were really he grew up poor and his mom worked a lot, but you know she still made sure that they were okay, and that his dad was just a disturbance and he was just never around, and that he was supposedly a great engineer, but he just I guess he also liked to steal things, so he was in and out of prison.
yeah, in and out of those mines.
Yeah, but he says he hasn't seen him in years, and Shirley's like, "Okay, thanks for telling me. Now go help Paul." Even she feels sorry for him. So Camille heads down to water filtration, and the vitamin D plus has finally arrived. It's taken forever. I think they initially said it was going to take 4 days or something. So I guess 4 days
Yeah,
have gone by, but
but they could only travel at night, right?
or something like that. I don't see
Yeah.
why. Can't you just put a big tarp over it, cover it up? She tells the guy Asa that you have to turn off the osmosis filtration system before adding it. So I feel like that's an important detail, but I don't know what that means. Somebody in Discord had said that means something, but I don't know enough about it. So
I mean, I don't either in terms of like the scientific part of this, but like I think just the way in which it was delivered and how he was like, you want me to do what now?
yeah,
Um, made it important, something that we should be paying attention to.
yeah. So next we go back to the mines. Ed Harwood is greeting a new batch of criminals, and he's telling them that they were too stupid to get away with their crimes. And I want to point out that I saw a familiar face. I saw a familiar face. You know that scene where that guy that Sims had go elect Juliet for, or get Juliet elected for mayor, like that whole scene where like Juliet Nichols for mayor, uh, that lady was there. So I don't know what happened to her. I don't know what she did, but or maybe she's just an extra who got pulled for that same scene, for a different scene. But I recognized her from earlier.
Yeah. I didn't recognize her. Was she the one? She was the one that was crying, right?
Yeah, yeah, she looked really
Yeah.
sad.
I mean, I was just actually laughing because, first of all, the way that Ed Harwood said that was like, you're not here because you're criminals. It's because you're too stupid to get away with your crimes. And then she was just there bawling her eyes out, like, how did I get caught?
But Knox arrives and asks to speak to his dad. And so, leading up to this, I had thought that they were going to reveal that Ed Harwood was his dad.
Yeah, yeah, like that's kind of how they set the scene up, and I was like, "Whoa, is Glinda his sister?" But no.
Yeah, I thought so too. But then he says, "Did you bring a shovel? Your dad died 2 years ago." And I was just like, "What?" So I had like Knox looks dumbfounded, and I think my face looked the same way. I was like, "Huh?" Because
I mean, they
like
didn't tell him.
yeah, and also like this whole lead from Mark seemed to go nowhere because he's like, well, if you want to find out who stole from Critical Supply, go talk to Knox's dad. But it's like he's dead, so it clearly wasn't him.
Or is he dead?
Oh, I
I
guess.
mean, like everything well, I mean, what we know as viewers, right? We have no reason not to trust Ed Hardwood when he says he's dead.
Yeah,
But I'm just kind of throwing that out there. Like, what if he's not? Like, because they didn't tell
yeah,
Knox in 2 years. It's kind of weird. And why is Mark throwing that guy out unless he's involved somehow? But like,
yeah,
why would he randomly throw him out there like that?
yeah. It's weird. Something's not adding up. So
Yeah.
hopefully next week.
Also weird that Paul approaches Knox as opposed to going to the mines to talk to the dad.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
Oh, actually, we forgot one scene. So earlier, Camille is telling Juliet she can't send Knox and Shirley because they're too important to the silo. And so Juliet pitches Lucas and Patrick, but she won't tell her where they are because Camille wants them dead. So
Yeah, I mean that was pretty funny because Camille's like, "So you know where they are?" And she's like, "I guess."
but yeah, so next she goes to the vault and right away she just kind of ignores the whole conversation that she had with Camille and she's like, I want to send Deegan Knox and Shirley Campbell. And Camille's just like, oh, I already told you no.
Yeah.
But the request is denied and tells her that their absence would increase the risk to the silo by 34%, which is pretty significant. But so she finally pitches Lucas and Patrick, and it approves right away, telling her to send them out tomorrow at dawn. And Camille's just like, no, this is a mistake. And I thought it was interesting that it goes, wait one moment.
Right, like waiting for Juliet to get out. Like that's not
Yeah,
suspicious.
yeah. And so they wait until Jules shuts the door, and the voice tells her that they'll never make it to 17. She's like, did you just play her?
Hmm. Which, I
But
mean, do you think that Juliet is like expecting to be played at some level? Because
I feel like she is.
yeah, there's no way, right? Like as soon as he said, like as soon as that AI voice like automatically approved Lucas and Patrick, I'm like, they're not supposed to make it back alive. Like they will not make it back alive
Yeah. A-
if they go out.
And also I feel like her pitching Lucas and Patrick is not, I mean, they made a point of having Bernard say they have to be engineers and they have to be your best. So I feel like, and then they had the whole scene with Shirley and Knox, talking about, like it has to be us, and we're risking all of our family and everything. I feel like they're not gonna put all that in and then just have Lucas and Patrick go. So
I
I
mean, I feel
feel,
like it's going to be a swap of some kind, right?
yeah, yeah. I think Knox and Shirley are still going. And, Lucas and Patrick are just a front, you know? Because, yeah. And I feel like, I mean, Juliet was there when the voice said, wait one moment. She's not going
Right.
to hear that and just be like, oh, yeah, they're going to
That
talk
was it.
about water.
Right.
Yeah. So she knows something's up. The voice tells her that Juliet requires special handling and that she probably has another objective and that they need to implement the vitamin D plus to make everyone forget because since she knows she's gonna start talking about this to everybody. And Camille's like, well, the vitamin D plus entered the system 2 hours ago, so she's already done it.
Mhm.
And so I've seen people pointing out that Camille seems to be testing the voice and its knowledge because she put it into the system 2 hours ago, and here it's telling her that she needs to implement it as soon as possible. So it doesn't know that she's already done it.
Mhm.
So I mean, we were talking earlier about how it's not all knowing; it doesn't know everything. It seems limited to the vault and certain things, maybe certain cameras, but it doesn't know a lot. It has to call her to the vault and get information from her.
Yeah. So your theory that this could be a human behind the voice, I mean, to
Somebody,
me, that
some,
makes
I mean,
sense. Yeah.
the thing that makes the most sense is that it's a person in silo one,
Mhm.
and maybe there's 50 people. Each person has to monitor one silo or something like that. I don't know, but
Yeah, I mean, the idea just being right that like the people in the silo think it's like some omnipotent being, right?
yeah,
Like, because they don't know that it's some person in silo one.
yeah. So Daniel and Helen arrive, and they're finally let out of their van. A hangar opens, and Thurman very dramatically strides out.
Walking like a queen, coming on out of that hangar.
And she says, how would you like to help save the world? And I was just like, okay, that's very Avengers like.
Mhm.
But I don't know how Helen would help. I know that they've established that Daniel is an engineer, he has drilling expertise, but what is Helen gonna do?
Well, so here's the thing with this. If I was looking to save the world, do you know who I wouldn't go to first? Congress. Ever. So that's interesting to me. Like that's where my interest really gets piqued is why is it that we're talking to Congress and Senate? And actually two people from Georgia, which we believe is where the silos are, right?
Yeah.
That's the
Well,
belief.
Helen's not from Georgia, right?
Right, but like the senator, Senator Thurman is.
Oh, that's
She
right. That's
yeah,
right.
she's the senator from Georgia and he's the freshman congressman from
Yeah, that's
Georgia.
right.
But like going to Congress to save the world? Not where I'd start, but okay. I'm interested to see what happens. And I mean Helen, I don't know, like maybe she can be the voice, the media presence, but I mean she's been discredited. But if they have all this power that they claim they do, I mean, she would be someone who's good to stick somewhere strategically.
Mm,
Because they can
mouthpiece,
make that
maybe.
stuff go away, right?
Yeah. I mean, they offer her a job at the Times already, so.
Right. Like, and so it seems like they can make her past go away if necessary.
Mm. So I feel like what we've been given in the Beat Four Times is a very narrow amount of time so far, maybe like couple of weeks.
Hmm.
But I think there's a whole lot more time that they have to cover with the Beat Four Times, and so I feel like that's just it's gonna speed up a lot in the coming episodes because I don't know. Do you think the silos are already being built?
Perhaps.
Like
But I
like
think
things
Daniel's
must be
important.
underway already, right?
Yeah, but I think Daniel's important here because that Project New Orleans where they talked about like he like discovered some kind of way to drill.
Yeah,
I
I
think that's
think
going to
what
be
it
important.
was they said that he figured out how to drill without displacing the surface ground.
So I think he's going to be important to building the silos. So I don't
Yeah,
know how far into that they are.
it kind of seems like maybe they've started, but they're running into an issue, and so they're gonna
Hmm.
need his expertise.
Right. I also wonder where they're putting 50 silos in Georgia. Like, where is this big plot plan to put 50 silos in Georgia?
Somebody had figured that out back in season one because they looked at the skyline and they compared it to Google Maps and they figured out where it was and it was this giant like field or something like that. But
Okay.
I tried finding the post, I couldn't find it, but we'll see. So pending scenes, nothing from the trailer got shown to us. I don't think so, except maybe that walkout from the hangar. But Yeah, there's
Mm.
still a lot of things from the trailer to come, but I'm really looking forward to next week because I feel like we're finally gonna see Per Stenson.
Yeah, yeah, because they mentioned his name.
Yeah, yeah. Finally in show. I mean, they've alluded to him with the Stenson Clinic, but they didn't say his first name. So this is
Hmm.
yeah. Now they're actually talking about him, and they've arrived at their destination. And behind Thurman, there's a very nice private plane.
Hmm.
Kind of looks like something that a billionaire would have.
Right, because he's probably the one that's funding this.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and that's the end of the episode. Really looking forward to this week's one. But other topics. What have we been watching? We talked about Hugh about rewatching Widow's Bay. So I did start one, and I'm almost done. And I have to say that it is like I thought it was a little slow in the beginning, and I watched it week to week, and I really enjoyed that. But it is actually a really good binge. You
Hmm.
watched it almost all at once, right?
I actually did watch it all at
Oh, you
once.
did. Okay.
Yeah, like I think I did 2 episodes on Sunday, and then I had time on Monday and watched the rest.
Hmm. Yeah, and I mean it's really good like that. It feels very cohesive in a binge. So
Yeah. I mean, I like to, I don't know, like, I feel like shows that are being made for streamers right now, they have to sort at some level realize that there is like a constituency of viewer that is just going to wait until everything's out to watch it at this
yeah,
point.
yeah.
Because people now, I mean, they like the bookends. And so I do like the week to week model. There are shows I watch week to week, obviously. Um, but like I get it. Like with streamers especially. Now it's a little bit different with the network TV because I think they still well, they definitely still expect their weekly viewership, but otherwise it's all at once.
And I'm almost done with season 8 of FBI. So
Yeah, so I watched the first 2 episodes of Futurama, and I thought the whole season of Futurama was out because I was spoiled this summer because we got new King of the Hill, and then two
mm,
weeks later we got new Futurama. And I don't know if my Hulu was just being weird or something. I thought we had the whole season of Futurama, but I got the first 2 episodes of Futurama, new
mm.
season.
So it's week to week though.
I guess if it's not my app being weird, then it must be week to week. So I'm expecting a
Uh
new episode tomorrow. But yeah, I'm living my best animation domination life over here.
Okay, giveaway. So, as we mentioned before, I have an extra silo fob. It's actually kind of big. The I think the actual one in the show is much smaller. It looks like it's maybe like 2 inches tall, but this one is at least three, I think. But it oh mine is not charged anymore. But it lights up. It turns green. It turns blue. It also turns red. But I think usually it just lights up blue. You're supposed to be able to connect it to Wi-Fi and get notified when Apple TV posts to Instagram. But if not, it's just a cool little piece of silo swag to have. But if you are interested in this, you can enter to win. You all you have to do to enter is comment on this week's episode on YouTube or Spotify and tell us what you think our show name Wires from the Deep means. Book readers will probably get it, but there's no requirement to have the right answer for your entry to count. So you just have to take a guess. And in addition, please tell us what country you're listening from because we want to know how far our listenership reaches. And if you'd like to get extra entries for this, so like you can comment and get one entry, but if you want to get extra entries, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and email a screenshot to crystal at thedowndeep.net, and that will get you 20 extra entries. And like a winner is going to be drawn at random, and I'll announce it on next week's episode. So I guess I'll probably close it for entries on Saturday. I don't have a time. I'll just decide, sometime on Saturday that, okay, it's closed. I'm going to just draw from somebody here. But yeah, that's how you can enter to win. Good luck. Quick self promo: Wires from the Deep is brought to you by Pico's House, which offers a comprehensive slate of services for fiction authors. You can visit www.picoshouse.com for details. If you're enjoying the interaction between me and Neoshia and happen to watch police procedurals, you can check out our other podcast, Romcom Detectives. I co host that show with two other people to cover Lucifer and The Mentalist as well. You can check that out at romcomdetectives.com. Thank you to our listeners for joining us for another episode of Wires from the Deep. If you're enjoying our podcast, be sure to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. You can leave us a comment and let us know your thoughts on our discussion. Join discussions about the show on the Silo Series subreddit and the Down Deep Discord, where you can participate in discussions with other friends and chat live as new episodes drop, and attend our watch parties on the weekends. And I also do a speed quiz at the end of the episode. And if you want to contact me and Neoshia, you can leave a comment on one of our YouTube videos, or you can email us at crystal@thedownteeth.net. Tune in next week as we break down episode 7 called Radio. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.